Hey guys, so I was shopping in Aldi this morning and I found these. So I just noticed these randomly on a shelf. I've never seen Aldi actually sell art supplies before. But considering the fact they're only £1.99 for 24 markers, I figured why not give them a go. So I just wanted to create a quick video to test them out and see if they were worthwhile. Although if not, at least we've only lost £1.99. So I'll just get these open. Probably should have bought a pencil case or something to keep all these in. So the first thing that you will notice is that they look a lot like Sharpie markers. So I've got a Sharpie here. They're a little bit shorter. This is, to be honest, what caught my attention more than anything, because I thought it was a pack of Sharpies at first. And the pack doesn't actually have any information on it other than what you can see on camera. It just literally says 24 markers. So they probably aren't permanent markers or anything like that, but we'll test them out and see how they compare to Sharpies. But in terms of how they look compared to Sharpies, they're really similar. There really isn't that much you could say about them that you can't already see on camera. I guess I should actually take the lid off and have a look. So I'm just playing around with the focus on the camera here, just so that you can see the nibs a little bit more, just in case you are wondering what the difference is. They are very similar. Again, there's not really much to say about them. So I'm not really sure what to draw them on in terms of comparing how permanent the marker is. And it was Easter the other day, so I still have a few chocolate eggs lying around, and I figured it might be a good idea just to write on this plastic. It's quite a glossy plastic, and I figured most pens would probably just smudge off. I'm not sure how well this will show up on camera, but the first mark is a Sharpie, and the lower down one is the Aldi one, which is called So Crafty. So I'm going to give those a minute to dry, and in fact, before I do that, as soon as we've got a few lines, I'm just going to wet my finger, and I'm going to test some of them, just in case they do dry straight away. It is bringing it off a tiny bit, but there's nothing on my finger or anything like that, and you'd have to rub it for a little while to completely get rid of it, if it would even go at all. And looking at my camera screen there, I should probably have taken the egg out so that you could see these lines a little bit clearer. I just grabbed this as it was pretty much right next to me from where I've been snacking. So I would say that's actually pretty similar. It's not really bringing it off. You could probably work at it for a little while and rub it off, but it's holding up pretty well. So I'll smudge them both here as well. So this means there's no point me letting these dry to try them again, because they're already setting pretty permanent anyway. So it doesn't say anything on the pack about being permanent, but I would say it seems to be, at least for plastic anyway, it seems to be as good as Sharpies. And if you guys want me to test these on anything in particular, just let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best. So unfortunately I don't have a full set of Sharpie markers to compare all the colours with these, but I'm still going to create a quick colour swatch with these Aldi So Crafty ones, just so we can see what the colours actually look like, see if they match the lids and whatnot. And obviously I'll speed this bit up, as you can tell. If only I could work this fast, it would make things a bit easier. Okay, so there's a super quick colour swatch. Most of them match up pretty well, to be honest. The only one that didn't, I believe, is this colour here, which is actually the pale yellow. I don't know why they got that one so wrong in terms of the cap colour, but not a huge deal. So let's just check quickly how bad it goes through. On Bristol board, that's not bad, but I have not layered it or anything like that. I don't really know if you would layer markers like this. I'm probably going to use this space here just to play around, see what inking pens it works with, use it as a bit of a test sheet. Oh, and one thing I am going to point out quickly is that these markers, these Aldi markers, do not have the strong smell that Sharpie ones have. Just in case you're a lover of sniffing markers. So things I'm testing for here are just like whether it would smudge at all, whether you can layer them up on top of one another, whether they'd smudge the inking pens that I have. Just things like that, really. Okay, so super quick summary of what I did here. First one, I used the So Crafty black marker to create an outline, and then I tested it whilst it was still a little bit wet with the yellow, and it has bled, so you'd have to be careful using it for outlines. At the end, once it had dried, I went over it again with the same pen, and it still did the same thing, it still bled. Here I've gone darker and darker with the same marker, but probably not very easily, and probably only quite a low range. Here I just literally wanted to test whether you could blend these markers, So they were both pretty wet at the time. I was not expecting it to blend at all, to be honest. I've never tried it with regular Sharpie markers, but I just assumed that they didn't blend at all. But yeah, these ones have actually blended surprisingly well. I think if I'd have carried on going over it, it might have brought the paper up, but still, I was impressed with that. And here I was just playing around with some more blues. I actually let this darker blue set a little bit on this one, and then I went in with a lighter blue, and it still seemed to make it, well, it still seemed to wet it enough to blend. Again, probably not quite as smooth a blend. I don't know how well it shows on camera, but still pretty impressive compared to what I was expecting. Here I have a different fine liner, or a different inking pen I should say. I did a video a few weeks back on testing different pens to see which ones were marker proof. So this was one of the pens that was marker proof. So I figured I'd test it. And yeah, it seemed pretty marker proof again with these. Again, I quickly had a quick blend, which a little bit streaky, but still works. But yeah, the marker proof fine liner seemed to hold up still pretty well. And then here, last of all, I did the same thing that I tried here, but this time I actually used the Sharpie marker black to see if it did make a difference. And I would say the Sharpie black did hold up a little bit better, which means the inks probably are different. But there is not really any information on the pack, so I couldn't tell you in what way they are different. So moving on, I just wanted to test these markers properly as if I was creating a finished piece. Before that, I just want to point out quickly, I have actually tested some Sharpies off camera, and they also do blend. So I was wrong to assume that they wouldn't. It's not something I've ever drawn with really. And I also noticed that a lot of the Sharpies in the set I have slightly firmer tips and even a little bit more pointed on some, but it seemed to vary with each colour. So back to this dragon piece that I'm drawing here. I was limited on colours, obviously I only had the 24 here. For the most part they're actually a really nice selection of colours. It would have been more ideal to have more tones in certain colours, so I was limited with what I could create. Apologies if you noticed the lighting change a little bit. The sun kept coming out and going back in behind a cloud, so eventually I just closed the curtains. As I mentioned earlier though, they did seem to blend. In fact, I wasn't actually going to blend them when I planned this video. When I saw these markers, I was thinking in my head of creating an image that needed cell shading on it. So just sort of flat shading, quite a nice style, but doesn't require any blending. But then from that initial part of the recording, when I realised they blend quite well, I decided I would try and incorporate that a little bit as well. You'll notice I am also using a fine liner or an inking pen for the outlines. So this piece isn't done 100% just in the Aldi markers. I am using a fine liner, in case anyone calls me out on that. Because I found these markers basically on a random shelf in Aldi, it was in an area where they just have a bit of a random selection and every week it's a little bit different. So I'm not sure if these markers are a regular thing or if it was just a complete one-off. But I have checked and they do list them online on their website, and I can actually see that they list them as permanent markers as well. So that also clarifies our question earlier. I don't personally consider these kind of permanent markers as something that I would draw with often. Although I have changed my mind a little bit since making this video. But regardless, in terms of drawing, I would say this set could have been improved upon by including more skin tones. But they're probably not intended for this kind of artwork. I'm not the greatest with markers at this point. I don't use them very often. So someone who is a lot better, a lot more skilled with using markers can probably create something much more impressive with these. I did find these blend probably just as well as some of my other markers that are actually intended for blending. So that was good. So overall, I was really impressed with these markers. And at the end of the day, these work out at less than 10p a marker. And that's the price in the UK. I don't know what it will be in other countries. So when you consider how much you're spending, this is probably the best art product or the best pens you would get for your money. And I have some markers that are much more expensive than this that are not that much better. I mean, I'm so tight that I almost didn't even buy these, just because I assumed they would be rubbish. But yeah, I'm really glad I did, because they are pretty awesome. So that's it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. And as always, make sure you subscribe for more content. Thanks so much for watching.